No. Okay, we're here.
Is that adjourned? It's an
All right, so let's go ahead and do a pledge of allegiance since it's on the order of business.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Let's start off with an introductions. To my left is
Just Jim Gorley.
Just Jim. Nice to meet you, Just Jim.
Just Larry.
Just Larry. Nice to meet you, Just Larry. And then we have,
Blair Larson, Community and Economic Development Director.
thank you.
Jeff Lynn, City.
Dick Knowles, community volunteer.
Bob Dalton.
Not just Bob Dalton.
He's not going to say he's volunteering for anything.
I'll give you my number or my address or my email.
So Mr. Blair Larson, who do we have joining us today virtually?
We have no one.
Well, this is a quick meeting. All right.
Brock was supposed to be joining us.
It looks
There
like
he
it
is,
just
right
signed
there.
Ooh. Hello, Brock. We just did introductions. Glad you can join us. Okay, so
Are you
that
there?
brings us to the approval of the minutes. Everybody's had an opportunity to look at them. Do we have any changes? And we would entertain a motion to accept if there's no concerns. I'll give you a minute.
This is the May 2nd meeting, correct?
Yes.
That's the one you weren't here. I think.
Mhm. So I wasn't here.
Well, I moved him to approve them.
So Larry Horton has made a motion to move the agenda or
I'll
the
second.
minutes. Dick Knowles seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. So that brings us to reports from committees. Community Health Fair Committee.
That would be, is that me again? I guess I've got the email. I got the email for that as well. Turned in the application for the event at the high school today. I met with Ralph Brown last week and just touched bases with him, filled out an application. He was all supportive of moving forward with it. Although the location that was put out there was Sankey Park, but the location is in front of the high school, in front of the LBC Center and the breezeway leading into the auditorium.
That front parking lot.
Thank you. I was confused about that because I know we had talked about Sankey, but we are in front of the high school.
Yeah.
Perfect location.
Well, we thought about Sankey, but then it comes down to trying to move all those tables and chairs, especially chairs. Tables are the easy part, all those chairs from the high school to there and back. So Alf will have the chairs. I'll have access to the auditorium so we can use the restrooms in there and that foyer there, but keep the doors locked into the auditorium so people won't have access into there. So Dick and I have both walked down there and taped it out to see how many we had. The application, on the application, I tweaked it a little bit to read that it will be an outdoor event and there may be areas that are uncovered and be in the sun. So if you have a pop-up, bring a pop-up with you. I mean, we've got four at our church. I'll have them. And I'm sure others. Samaritan has always had pop-ups with their tables. I think a big majority of them, though, we can get in a shaded area, but we want to be prepared and have vendors prepared for if they're outside. We don't want them sitting directly in the sun. So I think Dick, as you've sent out applications, he's already starting to put the applications out. So.
So I have one question. Before we had the cancer screening and some of those, they may need a room, for them to get into.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
In other events, they actually, we can do some of the pop-ups can have curtains on them, and you
Okay.
just use
I
those
just
as the
was
privacy areas.
Just making sure that we have,
Even indoors in some of the bigger events, that's all they do. They just put one up and it's,
okay,
just a tent.
just wanted to make sure we had,
Yeah, just so you can't see people.
yeah.
And I haven't heard.
Thank you.
I haven't heard back from Samaritan yet as to who all the vendors they will
Mhm.
have. Before they were the person brought the cancer person in. But since I'm getting whittled on again, might invite that group to come over and see if they want to talk about skin cancer.
Check me over.
And I got checked over and I got sliced on, and then they said, come back, we need to dig a little more out. So,
Ooh.
all right, the res.
Wow.
So.
At least they caught it. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, the experience of going through with my first cancer and then this one, two opposite looks, but this one basically was just a red spot on my finger. And it just, to me, was
Looked
kind of
different.
suspicious, but I put stuff on it, couldn't heal it. And I thought, I'm going to go have it. What do you got, Bob? I showed him that, and he instantly, there was a shot in there and a scrape, so. You don't feel anything, but again, to your point, that's why this whole health fair is important. It's to provide services that can educate people and to look for early signs and warning and mental health and all of the above. So, and the reach out that we've had from vendors has been a positive one. They're eager to come back.
So I had another thought. I know we did the mental health awareness was done this week, but is there any way that we could, during the summer, during that time, start doing something every week to try and this is what this is, but then it'll be at the health fair. This is what this is, but we'll have more at the health fair type of thing, through maybe if we work with the paper and stuff
I think the communication piece, and then I talked to Erin. I cannot remember her last name with Samaritan, but she's their communications person. So I've talked to them about the flyers that we put out in the past. I actually sent her, because she's fairly new to it. I sent her the last one we had and the services that were provided in that, so we could get that out into the public as well.
Just thinking if we started working on it over the summer, we might get more awareness up.
If I might, this is coming up more and more in all the meetings I go to, and people are beginning to settle more and more onto the Facebook idea. And we could actually use the city's Facebook or chamber and just routinely have
Yes.
them produce something. We would provide the information. Doesn't have to be much, just enough to trigger somebody that, here we can go get some more. So, I mean, I'm not volunteering anybody other than Jeff, but we can probably work on that. This whole idea of working to get more information out is good. It's better. It's just that if you rely on newspapers, not everybody has a newspaper.
You're right.
Radio is also difficult. And quite honestly, us old guys, we aren't going to notice anyway. And if we're going to go after the 30 and 20-year-olds, that's where we got to go.
Facebook.
But if it pops up on our Facebook,
We will, well, that's why I say it. We'll use something that's being used today. Let's not rely on all the stuff you and I are used to. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's a good point, that if we do it regularly between now and then, featuring mental health or whatever it is, then people will notice, because that is our targeted audience, is the people that go to the local Facebook pages, whether it's the city or the chamber or the other groups that are out there. They can be
Sweet
tagged
Home, what's
into
on
it
your mind?
because they tag each other.
And I think we can emphasize things that are important to 20 and 25-year-olds, and get them involved. If it's important to you, come to a health committee meeting and speak your piece, and just get them involved in city things. We always wait till everybody retires.
Or till there's a
So-
big issue.
Yeah, that's kind of too bad.
So what we're talking about is a PR Facebook action plan
There you go.
as to, this is what we're going to hit between now and then, and these are the time frames we're going to hit them. And so I think that's a really good way to look at it. All right. And is there going to be a bike rodeo or anything at that time?
I don't know, are you doing that?
That's
Jim?
in June, right? Safety
It's
fair is the
safety fair?
18th.
Well, I know the fire department shows up with fire trucks. I was just thinking the police department might be. Yeah.
When police cars show up, people start getting nervous.
That's probably true.
So is it the
Gotta break-
7th, the 18th,
It's the 18th.
June 18th,
Mhm.
safety fair?
It's a Saturday.
Okay.
And is there a bicycle safety course? I helped with that last year, I think.
Yep, and they'll be doing the helmets and something else.
I don't
I
know.
read.
Ellie won a bicycle one year. She was so happy.
Most of it's year-round.
Which is really good.
But that doesn't mean that we can't use that as part of the, the hype on
Yeah,
the
advertising,
other
healthy,
advertisement on other things that we're doing.
Opportunity.
healthy stuff.
Mhm.
Well, bicycle safety is important. I
Yes,
had
it is.
somebody driving the opposite the way they're supposed to against the traffic on down by Thriftway where the little bulb out, they're doing that work and they're clear over in our lane. I'm thinking, oh
This
my
is a
gosh, an
bicyclist?
adult. Oh, this is about a 60-year-old man.
On a bicycle.
Bicycle. And I says, maybe we need to revisit some of those rules, So,
Like, we can't read it anyway, because my wife and I walk on the sidewalk all the time, and we always step off the sidewalk for bicyclists, mostly adults, and the sign right there says no bikes on the sidewalk. I go like, maybe we need to lower them down and put them right in the middle of the sidewalk so that
Well, so it hits them.
So
blocks them off.
There's certain things we
Have it be a
can't
rubber
fix.
sign.
Yeah. Here's your sign.
okay. So
So what do you think of that one, Blair? Smith City.
He's quiet.
any other questions? Let's move on. Western University.
I received some information from Di Lacey, and Di was very complimentary that we have finished all of the projects on our first 5-year program that we started back 5 years ago. I thought it was 4, but she said it was 5, so I'm going to take her word for it. And she wanted to know what she would like to do, I guess is what I should say. She would like to do a repeat of what we did 5 years ago, as far as the university students actually went to, it was 2-pronged. The first one went to Lebanon Hospital and actually looked at patients and what kind of services they were receiving, what kinds of things were they there for. They actually looked at the physical health conditions of people in Sweet Home at the hospital. That was one group. And then the other group was a group that we worked with more, and that was the group that did the 6, I think it ended up being 6 groups that we did surveys of those 6 groups. There were 5 or 6 people in each group, and there were questions that the university students developed to try and figure out what are the needs now, 5 years later, for health needs here in our community. And so she wanted to know, is that something that we would like to do? And if so, she would like to get started on it ASAP. She would like for me to start forming 5 or 6 committees of, 5 to 10 people in each group. And the kids are working on survey questions and they're ready to go if we're supportive of it. So my question to, I guess, our group is, are we supportive of another 5-year plan, so to speak? I think it's good to have those 5-year plans out there so that we know what we're working on.
I think that's a great idea.
Anybody else?
Struggling because I think I sent people
Saw
a
that.
survey. We're almost getting too many surveys.
Well, that's a survey
Yeah,
where these are focus groups.
right,
And it would be interesting to see how they compare with each other. Really.
right, right.
I mean, it's one more source of
Yeah,
information.
there's nothing wrong, particularly if she wants to head up something and
Okay.
get us going.
I think we got a lot of benefits out of the last one when it comes to
Well, we
engagement.
got three major things that seem to be moving forward in a real positive direction. And I think a lot of it was because of the work of those students 5 years ago.
Yes.
So let's get a consensus. Is everybody good with that?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's support it.
Okay.
Sounds like a winner.
We will try and get it started quickly.
And that brings us to the Homeless Action Committee.
I'll turn it over to Brock and let him, since he's on. Are you there, Brock?
I am. Good evening, everybody. And by the way, for your health fair, I'll talk to Shirley, but we have two 20 by 40 foot tents that are at the Public Works area. So I think those may be available also, since that sounds like such a great activity. Wow. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. I spent a week with Shirley. We were up at the National Health and Homeless Convention. Lots of very, very interesting information that we're still digesting and would like to probably come back to this group and others to have a report from that. I think there was over 1,100 people from all over the nation. We had the executive group from Health and Human Services, and we also had, I think he was number 2 from HUD, and lots of really good and interesting information, and super beneficial, super exciting, but super sad in the same breath, in that rural communities have a lot of difficulty with funding, and projects. And I get to listen to all these amazing, spectacular projects that occurred during COVID and are occurring. And we weren't as able to leverage the funds, the projects and stuff like that some of the communities. Now, some of them, the scale is astronomical. So I talked with the program manager that was in charge of all of Chicago, and they went from something like a $5 to $10 million budget to nearly $1 billion. So there was a lot of money out there, and a lot of communities that were able to leverage that. So partially the good news, though, is there is some additional funding coming up under recovery funding and such. And I am working with some folks on that. And I've talked with Blair a little bit about what we can leverage for Sweet Home and East Lynn County and things like that. And then there are a lot of other individual groups. There's some groups in Walla Walla, and I talked with the program manager in Yakima, and they're going to share with us a lot of the grants and funding mechanisms for all kinds of things, ranging from transitional housing to harm reduction to all kinds of things that we would like to leverage if we can, obtain some of those funds and things like that. So that was pretty exciting. And then this week, unfortunately or fortunately, that's why I'm not fully set up. Otherwise, I'd have a email link for you, but I moved, and I don't have internet yet, but I would like to get the committee application, the review committee, or what do we call them? The sub board or policy board. I don't know. We need to think of a good name. But I do want to kind of assure some folks, because I did talk with some folks after last meeting and stuff, and I could sense there was some questions and such. And so I kind of want to make sure that I want to reaffirm, we are stewards of the process. And really, I want the onus to be on this committee. And we want the best possible committee, because We want it local. We want it, you know, if anything happens, we want that committee to hear about it even before FAC in a sense, because, you know, we're hoping that that committee solves a lot of the problems before it ever gets to a board of an FAC and such. And so as we do these applications and stuff, we've already agreed. Chief Lynn has appointed someone, and my understanding is that the council is someone. We have 2 picks that we are, you know, very kind of adamant about. That leaves 3 picks, and you know, I want to make sure that this committee, and I can get, I'm not sure how best to handle it, whether it's this whole committee or some individuals. But I would like to offer that we all together review those applications and stuff to figure out what's best for the community. And I talked a little bit with Blair, and he gave some names of some business owners that I'm going to approach as well. And then if any of you have any, I am definitely open to anyone and everyone, and get as much as we can. And then I would like to review those applications, and even when we review those individuals, to have either someone from this committee, or we could do a whole committee, or figure it out.
Okay.
And the huts still continue. I ordered some more materials for Will at the high school that's due on Thursday. We still have the coverings, and I'm just going to physically go down, talk to Knife River, perhaps go down to Eugene, talk to them, find out who the folks were that did those materials. We have seen some instances of some materials that are hard to find, but we'll find them. I guess my thinking right now is I would like to have that board on board by, like, say June 15th, mid-June. And I would like to have everything kind of wrapped up and really the facility as best as it can be running by July 1. I'm pushing for that July 1 timeline.
Any
That's
questions?
about all I have.
Brock, can you remind me where the big meeting was held?
It was in Bellevue, Washington.
Okay, thank you.
And next year it will be in Baltimore. And boy, if we could send someone, I mean, Shirley and I have talked quite a bit. Demographics were very fascinating. Actually, the majority of the people were clinicians and city people, like city managers and individuals like that. And so a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses. There were groups of us that did street outreach. There was also medical street outreach. And really, one of the grants I know that Shirley and I are pretty adamant about is to get the medical outreach going. I don't know why Samaritan stopped their services. When I talked to all the other people, their services never stopped. And it's such an important component in reducing fatalities, reducing illnesses, a lot of preventative care that can handle a lot of help for the community. And so I am putting together a grant to really try to shore up our health aspect. And I think there's some individuals in Sweet Home that we can work with on this grant, as well as, you know, we're going to really push hard with Samaritan and some others that we feel really need to step up to this, at least from what we saw of other communities.
So Brock, this is Bob. And now the Samaritan piece of it, you're talking, they don't have an outreach piece?
No, they do. They even had an outreach vehicle, and they were doing outreach. And when COVID hit, they stopped. And that was kind of the wrong time to stop. Now, they have their reasons why they stopped. But now that COVID's kind of past us, I would like to push to see that vehicle put back into service. We actually do take a nurse out from time to time because we do have a nurse on our board. But it would be nice to have the more formal actions by Samaritan. Other communities, they actually have a full-blown doctor and nurse and A&D, alcohol and drug person, and a mental health person that go out together, which is just really remarkable. And those communities may be a little larger, but if we look at, Lynn County or East Lynn County, we could really leverage and utilize that service if we had it.
Now you're
And
referring.
it's not just for the homeless, it's for the communities as well.
You're
Most of the
referring to
need
the large
actually is the
bus?
community. Pardon me?
You're referring to the large bus they used to bring into Sweet Home?
I believe so. I haven't seen it in a while. I thought it was a motorhome, but I'm not sure.
Well,
It was a nice
basically it is. It's very large, but I'll reach out on your half. I know the person to contact. I do have another name of an individual who just gave it to me last week that's here local that works through the clinic on outreach as well. So I will talk to them and I'll let you know what I find out.
That would be fantastic. We have been working fairly closely with the medical school, and we have been having students go out with us on outreach, and they're building us first aid packets and things like that. But the more we can get, the folks with real resources out there, that would be wonderful for the community, I think.
We actually had a psychiatrist who was looking forward to joining that big part of the bus run once a week, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
we would definitely love that.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
happy to report that even, I guess, a week and a half ago, we took an individual in for A&D counseling. And, people would, and this is a client that's been very long-term in that space. And so it's so exciting to be able to see at least some strides in the right direction towards recovery and stuff. So it's pretty exciting out there.
Yeah, this guy used to do this exact form of outreach in another state.
Wow.
He actually has some experience. And
Even
I
if we
assume-
can
I
talk to
assume
him
he's
to
still
help with the
practicing.
grant, that would be nice.
Yeah, he's still practicing. I guess on another note too, with my involvement with the new clinic that's going to be urgent care here in Sweet Home, one of the things that I had been pushing with that group, and they've agreed to having one room dedicated to mental health at the new facility. But there's also a core group of us that are going to be meeting together to determine what mental health looks like in Sweet Home and how we staff it, because that's the big issue, of course, is always how do we staff it.
Mhm.
They're committed to the room, they're committed to some telemedicine type health, but we've got some other individual like myself, we want a face, we don't want a screen to look at. So
That would be awesome.
I think
And
you'll see
know
that
in
come.
the annex, when we get it moved, we've been talking about putting in a medical space in the annex as well. So that would be wonderful.
So Brock, question, did they have any silver bullets or was it all just?
There may be in the regards to the grants and such, and that's what we're filing for one that's local we know of. But one of the individuals that I talked with quite a bit, I was expressing how frustrated I was in that, we're lacking a lot in the medical services area, medical outreach, because there was some amazing stories with the medical outreach aspect. And so we're going to sync up and get together and try to find out more about that, the medical piece. And then I'm interested in, what your folks, wish to do, because I'm going to go hunt money and see what I can do to go hunt money for this, as well as transitional housing. There's going to be a lot of money under transitional housing, and I'd like to at least try to secure as much as I can and figure out who we can get those funds to get more transitional type housing, low barrier type housing for individuals.
So, if you're looking at a July 1st opening, and our next meeting is the 20th of June, I'm going to be available to attend the Friday, the 10th of June meeting with the city.
Okay.
We need to look at solidifying language development ahead of time so that we can have some tentative information and set up for that meeting and ready to go for that site committee.
Yeah,
And
I think that
so
would be
between
good.
now and
then we
then-
want the site committee to come up with any additional language. There's the base, and then there's what that committee comes up with specifically to this particular area. I know one of the concerns has to do with service area and such, and I want to kind of reassure this group, we can't legally keep individuals from coming, but I'll add a caveat to it. We want Sweet Home individuals utilizing that Sweet Home resource, and I do need to put in a phone call into Chief Lynn because I'm having issues with the other police department of the unnamed city to the other side of you, trying to send folks our way. And I am very discouraged and not very happy with that. And I've raised and been very vocal with that. And I even met with the city manager of that city and the police chief, who both said they weren't doing that, but I've got clients telling them that's absolutely what's happening. So I'll stay tuned, but that isn't what we intend. That isn't really what we want for right now, because I suspect out of the 30 huts, we'll fill all 30 with the individuals that we're familiar with, that we know of. And, there is an entry application and such, and that committee will be involved in that as well. So we
I'm
just
going
need to make sure.
I'm going to put this out there. We got to be super careful that this does not become a magnet site for it to be successful, because no city will replicate this model if that's what occurs in Sweet Home.
Well,
You want other
30
cities
places.
to do
We
this too. You're
we
going to
have-
have to be able to be a model that did not occur. Now, we are fully aware that we have people from Sweet Home in all these other sites across the state. I got that, but it is in FAC's best interest to make sure that that's protected from happening, so that other cities will welcome that dialogue with you. And
Yes.
so
And
that's
so
absolutely crucial
we're
to
setting up
success.
30 huts, and I can tell you,
Yeah.
we had a higher pit count than 30. And last week, or 2 weeks ago, I got 5 phone calls from people that were 60 and over that had just recently lost their homes or are losing their homes, that are residents of Sweet Home. I don't think we'll have any issues filling it. In fact, I think we're going to fill it. And then, this is where I was talking with some others. We need to think of some good strategies. And this is where the committee will get to decide some of those strategies. Do you keep a hut open just for emergencies in case the police need someone to, somewhere to put someone, or what is that dynamic? But I can tell you there's more need in the city of Sweet Home with the individuals of Sweet Home than there are. So, our intention is to fill them with the people that we're very familiar with and Sean's familiar with, and we'll get those people definitely first accommodation of it.
Well, I know that we have a lot of people in very precarious housing situations, and
Yep.
they're always moving in and out and couch surfing and having crises. And so our needs are much greater than they should be. But if
Yep.
we want to help them to be into housing and into jobs and stuff, all cities need to carry their weight. And I
absolutely.
just wanted to put that out there. But I do think we need to have a conversation to help this site committee to be successful, to lay a foundation that they can build on that creates success. We have a lot of people with great hearts and really know what they feel can be successful, but they need to be able to have a foundation to build on. And so that's the conversation we need to have, is how they get on, how they get off, how things are moved forward, what the scope of each position is, what their role is, and language, because everything's great until it's not. And language protects us from when it's not. And so I would like to have that shored up by the 10th. So at least if there's any changes and stuff, this committee can look at it and have a conversation about it, and everything will be ready to go on the 20th, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And any other questions? I don't want to sound mean. I sound mean really easy and really quick. I try really hard to avoid
No.
that. And sometimes I come across, and that is not my intent.
No.
But anyway,
All right, I'm hearing different dates.
so on the 10th.
I'm hearing June 15th is when Brock said he would like to try and have the 7-member committee. But I'm hearing you say you want all this decided by the 7th committee by June the 10th.
So on June,
And you realize that we are at May the 16th,
I know.
and we have to select at least 3 committee members.
Mhm.
It sounds like 4 have been
I think-
predetermined.
I think what the parameters of what that committee would be has to be in place by the 10th,
Wait,
or talked about at least.
the city meets on the 10th. And so for the project, right? And so that would be a good time to have everything as solid as possible, so we have language to work with. We need to, before people can start meeting and understanding their role, which could be on the 15th, we need to know more about what our expectations are as representatives of the city for that committee. Does that make sense?
When you say the city meets on the 10th, are you referring to our weekly coordinating meetings?
Yes,
Okay.
I talked to Christy about it.
Yeah.
And so, so there is a timeline here, and it is short, but we've had a lot of conversations and a lot of time to take a look at this. And so, and Christy's aware that staff are going to be able to look towards this to move this stuff forward, because we only have till July to get this in place. And then your site committee can go ahead and meet and have these discussions about their role and what that looks like and build from there. But they need to have a foundation in place. Otherwise, there's going to be things that they will
When
probably
you say
miss.
get this in place, what's this?
A
the
basic
foundation?
outline, a foundation for that committee. And I
Yeah.
don't want to
Well,
leave
we-
that to happen chance later.
Yeah, well, we actually shared that back in November, so it's just digging that out and adjusting it for Sweet Home. But we
Yes.
have the Walla Walla Basis one already, so that's what we utilized back in November. So we're just going to take it, and that'll be the basis to start with.
Okay, you look it over and see because I believe
Yeah.
the council was wanting to see that as well. And
They,
so-
I think, were given that back in.
They may have
Yeah.
been given it, but it wasn't refined because at that point we hadn't moved forward. No.
So
Yeah.
I believe my understanding of was that we were going to use that as a basis, and
Yes.
then once the committee for the site was established, that committee would be taking that as a draft and adjusting it and making it their own at that point. That was my understanding of how that was going to move forward, and so it hasn't been done up to now because we haven't had that committee in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I saw wasn't honed out far enough
Mhm.
to establish a committee of community members who might not be familiar with being on committees. And there's some things that need to be shored up and made to fit our community. And so that's why we have some, but we need to revisit that now.
Oh,
and
yeah, we
make
have
sure
the shortened summary.
that it
but,
fits our
Ray
needs.
didn't like the 110-page one I gave him originally and gave the council. So we still have the 110-page one, which is what you're asking for, and we'll share that. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And then we'll move forward.
I don't
And-
think
Yep.
that's,
Yeah, we're gonna have to hone it down to where.
I
committee
don't think
can function
110
with that.
pages is what we want.
We'll bring our highlighters and we'll highlight what we want to keep.
So when you say June 10th, that's normally the construction.
So every Friday we're meeting at 10
Yeah.
a.m. and frankly, anyone's welcome to join if you would like. It's basically a coordinating meeting to make sure that we're all on the same page with the next steps for getting the site in there. Talking over with Christy this morning, it's perfectly possible to merge that. Once the committee members are selected and on board, we can start bringing them in to be involved at the same time, and so that they can both have an understanding of how the site is developed and then how to move forward from there, et cetera. So we can, as soon as we have people on board, we can get them acclimated and get them started.
And I guess that's what I'm confused about. If we're not going to have a committee until the 15th, how are we going to do this on the 10th?
Well, this was a conversation with the city staff and Brock that currently exist, and being able to say, from the city's point of view and from FAC's point of view, this is all laid down and ready to go so that we can establish and put that committee and say, here, this is where we're going. Because any committees that I go on to, there's usually a framework already established and agreed upon, and there's been nothing adopted so far. There's been a proposal, but there's been nothing adopted. And so.
So on the 10th, you will not have a committee.
Not yet.
So
Not yet.
they are not going to be able to meet and.
But you're saying we'll have basically put together a draft version for them to start from.
Yeah, an outline.
But we need to take what we have already that's based on Walla Walla and condense it into
to fit our needs.
To fit our needs.
Okay.
So, my question then is, who fits it to our needs, and how are those needs identified?
Well, that's why we needed language to come back before us to look at that, and then we'll say, okay, these are the things we need.
Who condenses it? You're saying?
We have a memorandum of understanding with FAC.
Yes.
That talks about the board, and it talks about the board will be establishing their rules for the site. I guess my question is just the mechanics of it. We have a draft from Brock that's clearly too long. We have examples from Walla Walla. We can package that together, but it has to be to make it fit the community. It's got to be revised by somebody. So, who and how is that recommendation proceeding? Is my question, because it's not outlined right now in the documents that I have.
That's exactly the problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bylaws. There's nothing for them to even look at to adopt. And we need to have an eye on that, because we're going to need to make that recommendation to the city council. Then they can look at it.
What recommendation? You're starting to worry me a little bit. What is the condition that you feel FAC needs to abide by? We own the property. We're putting the committee together. We have an MOU. So now you're going down another trail?
No, it's not a difference.
Okay.
It was what we had discussed in the first place. That committee is a community committee, right? And so that committee is a partner with FAC, and it's representing a diverse community. But at this point, we need to look at what language that we're using that keeps all the partners happy moving forward. Because we're being expected to be a continuing partner in this as well. And yes, we have an MOU, and yes, we have things going for it, and we have buy-in. We still need to look at to protect you and us, to just say, okay, when our committee comes together, this is the foundation that they'll build on. And so that's all I'm looking at. And okay. Yeah. We just lay in a foundation and then moving forward. I'm not taking anything from
I'm
you.
just frustrated,
and
because we had this back in November, and now we're fussing over it. And
I'm not fussing over it. I'm saying that, and I apologize. I'm saying that when we were meeting earlier, and I don't want to throw any more nuts and bolts into this to have to take and put into place.
Yeah.
There was a conversation that we couldn't move forward with some of this because you didn't have a site. And we didn't have those pieces.
Yeah, but the
into
onus is on
place.
FAC now. So
Yeah.
that's, we have a site and we
Yeah.
have work being done. We'll nominate the committee next week and have the committee work on it immediately.
Okay.
Again, we are a steward of that process. And what we had in November is not what we have now.
Okay.
We'll
So-
never get back to that point.
Yeah.
And so
So
the point of it is now, let's get the committee out there, let's get them working and let's move forward. But I don't need additional city oversight on this. I'm getting
No.
very frustrated with the words that you're using. And maybe I need to sit down with you and find out what the backstory is.
Okay, so we had talked about financial governance. This committee, they're not doing that, are they? Is that FAC or is that our community members? And so I thought that was just FAC. So I'm not trying to create that. I'm trying to lessen that for you. And then the
Right.
other piece was you get this committee together, do all the committee members know when they sign on what they're being asked to do and what their duties, what their commitment is? What is it that they're doing? And if we have a committee and their tasks are set right, then they will be able to be successful with longevity. But if you have people that are assigned to a committee without tasks, then they're going to lose interest and not be there, and it's not going to be successful for the long haul. And so that's my concern. And then when
Okay.
somebody doesn't function on that committee like you need them to, right?
Yep.
And they go way off the trail, how do you have language to help them get back on the path if the language isn't established? And so it's been a long time since we looked at that and we've had these conversations.
Right.
I'm not making it harder for you. In
No.
essence, I'm protecting the success of your site committee.
Right, but
And that's what I'm looking
board level assignment or documentation in a real board, there is language that protects the business in a sense. And that's what I'm saying. We have language that protects it. And if we have an individual that goes way off track, they
Yeah.
want to make it a religious facility. We're non-religious.
I
I don't
agree.
know if anybody knows that, but if they did, we have veto power. We have means to remove that individual just like you would a regular board.
And that's what I wanted to see so
Okay.
that we can hone away everything that's not necessary and get it to where it's manageable for the people on your committee. And they're not trying to impose anything to you, but they need to be able to work. And living in this community and being on lots of committees in different times and over the years, I know that you got to help them be successful, and then they can take it and own it, and they can work with you, and things will be smooth, and you won't have unnecessary meetings, and you won't have unnecessary heartache any more than what is natural. And so
Okay.
that's why we need to meet on the 10th. And that's also why we need to have things lined up so we can all look, and then we can put this aside. Our goal is to put things aside and get them going, and so that they can stand on their own and we look for other projects. You know, we don't want to get down in the weeds ourselves. We would need to make sure that everything's successful as we move forward. Okay. And I think this conversation is really good to have so that we know
Absolutely.
what we're looking at.
Yep.
So as far as staff assignments and getting you what you need, we can certainly provide the drafts that are in existence. As for adjusting those to meet the needs of the community, do you have anyone in particular in mind for doing that, or would you like to meet together to do that work?
I think there's two different things. One is just a rough draft of the idea of what the committee is going to do. So there's some parameters. I think that's what Brock said he could do, is give a rough parameter of what the city's, the committee's going to do, so you can give that to people when they sign up, right?
Yep.
And then the other thing is that that committee then is going to finish the rest of it within those parameters, right?
Sure. or Taylor, or, you know, they
Yeah,
may
Taylor.
decide that
Is
30
that-
huts is not enough. We need 50. I don't know. Whatever
Yeah.
that
So-
committee decides.
And we look at this, and Brock had submitted some stuff, but it didn't seem,
What's good, I think they didn't have all the information
that's right.
to be able to do it yet.
And then the reason that we share it with the council is because community members are going to ask them, right? And they have to, if they're going to support you, they have to have answers, and they have to say, yeah, it's sounds, it looks good, we're moving forward, and they're an advocate because they're informed. Does that help?
Okay.
You need advocates, right?
I don't need someone running FAC though. And I just,
No, that was
that's
not
what
our
it sounds
intent.
like.
No, we are not in the homeless business.
I hope not.
We've never been in the homeless business.
Yeah.
And I am sorry this has been such a heavy lift and struggle for you. I don't
Yeah.
blame you for being gun shy, but at the same time, we need to finish this process. And
We need to finish it.
yeah.
Yep.
we need to finish this process and continue to be happy partners in this. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So the next step I see.
Okay.
We need three.
Yeah.
We need three more committee members.
Yep.
What process do we want to use to come up with those three? The city's given us two, FAC's given us two. There's three open spots, and I think they're spelled out in the MOU.
So the MOU, I'm looking at it right now. It says the policy board shall include a Sweet Home City Council member, and the Sweet Home Police Chief or designee, and then it may include a Sweet Home business owner, an unhoused member, an unhoused advocate, member with a healthcare background, and a Sweet Home community member.
Did it might be in their best interest if they would be interested in considering Bob, your group up there that was doing the warming shelter, is it the Lutheran Church? And we had mentioned it before that they had mattresses and things that the people that were staying there that were unhoused, and they were helping with bedding and all kinds of things. Would that be someone who's had a lot of experience with people and feeding people like this and being able to serve that community better? Would they be someone? I know they're a religious institution,
That's
but
right.
they didn't seem to be interested in pushing religion on these people. It was just trying to provide a safe location for them to sleep when it was cold, and they had developed resources to do that.
I think the only thing I could do, Lisa and Brock, is I could reach out to those individuals and
Absolutely.
to see if they have an interest. I know the two that were working it in the beginning had no, I mean, they went to a church, but they
Yeah, I
weren't-
don't want to say
that wasn't
we
based
can't-
on
we
that.
could
They
have
were just looking to
even
get people
pastors.
to
I don't mind that at all. It's
Yeah.
just we can't make that an emphasis. But
Yeah.
So you need 3 seats, but it'd be
anybody,
good if I could even get you one.
Well,
So I could definitely reach out on your behalf, though.
I-
absolutely.
come to mind because they had a plan to give assistance. They were providing coffee and an incredible amount of sugar and bedding, and they were doing such a valiant effort that might be the kind of person you're looking for to help out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
And
And do we have somebody that some recommendation has been made? I heard somewhere in the back of my head, business, that somebody had a business person that they would
Yeah.
think of.
Blair provided me a name of an individual, and
there's-
I'm going to follow up with that one. And I'm open to anybody.
Well, I guess that's my question. Are we opening this up, or are we selecting 7 committee members?
We will select, but I say anybody should be able to apply. I mean, I would like to have a physician because they bring an interesting perspective, you know, the psychology, because mental health is an important piece, or A&D is an important piece. But it's really this kind of FAC and this group that will select the remaining members. And I've got a homeless advocate and I've got an actual individual that's homeless, are our two selections. So the others, we want to try to complement or well-round or have someone with experience or any of those. I don't care if they're religious or not. That doesn't play into it for me.
You said that you had an application that you thought could be used for this process.
Correct.
And I'm just, in my mind, everybody needs to fill out that application that is
Yes,
interested
agreed.
in this position, whether that be the police officer or the city councilor. They all need to fill out that same application.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's also for the members to know a little bit about each other, their skills, because even though he's a police officer, he may have excellent cooking skills and has interest in, maybe helping with certain activities, or one of the members may be great at fundraising or just have links to other organizations. So it's to help them get acquainted with each other as well.
There was a young doctor at one of our more recent meetings.
He is at the,
Sam Milstein?
yes.
I was wondering if he might be interested in if we shared an application with him.
I can reach out to him.
He seemed
Awesome.
moved by this conversation.
He is one that I would have felt should be at least asked if he would be interested.
So this
Absolutely.
application, where does it come from and whose desk does it land on?
I'll get it to Blair and I'm not sure I have everybody on this committee's email, but I'll get it to as many people as I can get it to.
If you
Can
send
the
it-
applications end on Blair's desk then, and we can pick them up there and look at them? And then is it this committee
Okay.
that's going to select those 7?
Yeah, I was just gonna do an online form, but yeah, we'll have it physical forms also. Sure.
So, yeah.
Does this committee want to take on that responsibility of selecting the 7, or certifying the 7?
Maybe the
I-
first round and then let them do it.
Yeah, from there,
From
and
there
it's a
on.
different
Yeah.
thing.
I
Because,
think
yeah,
it's
it's just
important for this
establishing it.
committee to do that.
Make a recommendation to FAC's board.
And
Yep.
then we step back and let them go. It's just like the foundation language. Then they take off. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would like to see this committee because they've been, been involved with this from even before the beginning. So it's important that they have a voice in that as well.
What about the Samaritan outreach person? Because they replaced what the person that they had, and they just recently got a new person.
Yeah, I've got something. I wrote it down to talk to them.
That might be a really good person to.
They're new here in Sweet Home.
Yep.
I
Can't
don't
think of
have
their name
my
either.
computer in front of me to pull it
What's
out.
their position?
They
They're
are
outreach.
outreach, street outreach
Community
for
outreach.
Samaritan,
From Samaritan.
which might
Samaritan
really
right
help.
here in Sweet Home.
I think
Okay.
that's the kind of person you're looking for, aren't you, Brock? And I don't.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't discount people because we don't always know who
No,
was homeless when they were younger or who's, connections to the
Exactly.
homeless community.
Well, there
yeah,
were a
so-
few people that spoke up at some of the council meetings. When I talked to them afterwards, yes, they were somewhat against it and they had certain opinions on how it to be handled. But when you talk to them, they were CNAs, they were individuals that had a laundry program. There are individuals out in your community that have skills that none of us even know. So I would be excited to put it out there for everyone.
Okay. And I don't know who those people are. I know we have a wide variety of them. You'd mentioned a business person, but yeah,
Do you want me to see about putting out a social media blast to
that would be
see if
great.
anyone's
Yeah.
if there's interest?
That would be great. Thank you.
so.
For thinking
Lucia
about
has
that.
limited hours this week, but I'll see
Okay.
what I can do.
That would be a good way to at least say it was open.
Mhm.
People had an opportunity to speak up. And we have an opportunity to see who they are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'll
Other-
sync up with you tomorrow, Blair.
You say that is opening a can of worms?
Yeah.
Well, I think my concern is if you're gonna put something out publicly like that, you be prepared to craft it in such a way that the person that's gonna answer that call understands what they're getting themselves into. Because I think if you don't put a little bit of a guideline or structure to that, The phones could light up
Yeah.
with people that are not qualified to even be on that.
We'll basically have them email me and I'll filter it.
That's my only word of caution. I think you could, if you could.
Well, I think you're gonna have a can of worms if you don't open it up,
You will,
I agree.
and you will.
and you're gonna have a can if you do open
Hope
it
you
up.
like worms.
So it's a matter of what kind of,
Kind of worms you want.
yeah.
Yeah, we have pretty thick skin.
Well, you don't want the committee to be too big because
No,
then you're
7.
hurting cats. But at the same time, you get the right people on something like this and they can be very
Well,
helpful
little did
and
they
dynamic.
know, they may not have gotten on the board or the policy committee, but now they become a volunteer.
Well, it's kind of like you're asking for qualified people that has experience in a variety of, different assets that they could bring to the group for it to be successful. And that comes from a wide variety of background, but.
Yeah.
It's a great
So
idea.
is there a question on your application, Brock, about past experiences of volunteerism?
There
'Cause I
is.
really think
It's
that's what
not
you're looking
just,
for, so
it
people-
goes into education levels, it goes into past experience. And it also, I have a whole checklist of skills ranging everything from bicycle repair to gardening, of what other skills that people have that they can bring.
Great.
So I'll get that to Blair and he can distribute it to everyone. And I'll circle back with you tomorrow, Blair, on that.
Yeah, it'll have to be after 3.
No problem.
I
All
think
right.
that sounds really good.
That helps me a lot. Thank you.
I have a heart attack over there. I'm sorry doing that to you.
I mean, because it's in everybody's interest to have a great committee.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I
that's so
think it's
funny.
harder when we're not face to face and be able to explain that stuff, so.
Did we lose you? Okay.
must have.
Looks like we did.
Did you hang up on us, Blair? Blake?
Brock.
Brock?
Brock?
Yeah,
Jeez.
looks like you got disconnected.
You done.
Okay.
It probably was unintentional. The call dropped when I was talking to him earlier this afternoon too.
Yeah,
He was
right.
on his cell phone, so he's
But he called
probably.
me back.
You might think we hung up on him.
Okay.
I have
So
some updates on the site as well if you're ready for that.
I would love to hear
That
him.
would be
Why
wonderful.
it's not available to sit on Friday's meetings.
So and you may have already heard that we've got the fencing finished between along the easement. That's where basically the fencing that's along the public works yard property to keep that
Their
area
end.
secure. And so now the easement is open, and this week they are doing the rough grading of both the easement area and FAC's site. Once they get the rough grading in, they'll be ready for digging trenches for the water and the power lines. The unfortunate thing is with supply chains, we don't have a date on when we will get the water pipe. It's been ordered and they don't know, and they will get it when we get it, essentially.
Wow.
So we will keep on
It's not the only thing.
hounding on
No.
them and do everything else that we can do to get ready. The other issue is that the old historic train depot is sitting in the way of the easement. Fortunately, it is far enough over that for now we're fine. It's not keeping us from getting any work done. But it was discussed at the council meeting last week, and staff is reaching out to all interested parties that may have expertise in moving buildings such as that, or in taking it on and so forth, and we'll see what we get. So that's where the site development is at this time. I had a good conversation last week with the school district's video productions specialist, Ramil Malabago. He's actually my neighbor. Great guy. He does, if you've seen some of the school districts, some of the videos they put on
He's
the
very
Manly
good.
Jobs series that's on YouTube, he's the
excellent.
off-camera person, specialist working on that. He's done a great job. He apparently is already, I brought up the topic of doing some sort of video of the construction of the huts by the students, and he's already been working on it.
He's all over it.
So it's like it made me wonder if somebody had already talked to him, but he just started it on his own. So that was great, and he's interested in making that into more of a full-on video on the whole site, and asked me to find some folks who would be willing to talk on camera about the project. So I have seen myself on camera. I don't enjoy seeing myself on camera. And I'll talk to Brock tomorrow about this, but if any of you would have an interest or know of someone that you would like to see on screen that can talk intelligently about the project, I'd love to hook them up with Ramil and get.
Over here. Have we thought about interviewing a couple of the youth that are building the
Yes,
huts?
they're doing that already.
And
So
he's
video
already
recording those
he's already
guys.
started on that.
Awesome.
So, but he would like to do more
how
when
the
it comes to
project gets started.
how did it get to this point? How did we? What's the site supposed to do? What's it supposed to be like? That kind of thing.
A city worker maybe that understands the benefit of not having to clean up all over town and is excited about it. And
So where does the video go from once it's
Police officer that has to
produced?
deal with.
It'll be they have their own YouTube channel. The city would put it on our YouTube channel. We would just have it as a promotional material for the community, help people understand what it's like and what it's supposed to be like.
I think that has so much value to it because
Yes.
an individual stopped me in Safeway the other day when I was shopping, and it was a former coworker, and they said, well, what are we going to do all about this homeless group? And it gave me the opportunity to get on my platform and very carefully walk them through what has been done.
Yeah.
And their response was, didn't know that.
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
exactly.
And they walked away feeling better. That was their remark. I feel
Right.
better about what's being
So even better if you can just send them a link to a video on YouTube and they can watch
Exactly.
it and see, hey, this is my own community, puts a face to it.
You can be guaranteed that I have faith that this is going to be a successful program. And being such, other communities are going to want to know, how did this happen? And that's what we need, is we
Yes.
need a thing that shows, how did this happen?
Chronological
and
thing of how it went.
and I think the idea of recruiting a police officer, because I know they have talents. I think they've done videos before, but I also think it instills hope and faith in that, that benefit of moving people to a safe location to sleep at night. And
Sean,
Jeff, it could be police chief or designee.
Yeah, Sean would be really good to speak to he's been there. He went to the Walla Walla.
Yeah,
will
but we'll-
participate, However,
I'll pull some more.
Your face will have to be in it. Yeah.
I'll talk to Brock and we'll get some folks together. But if
Yeah.
you have any suggestions of specific people that you think, feel free to contact me. And
are they doing
reach out.
some drone footage of what the site looks like right now? Have they, or
I don't
not.
know that we have any,
That
but
would
we
be a
could
good thing.
we could get some.
that would be
Yeah.
great.
Before, after.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
during.
The
before is
process.
probably too late.
It's too late for before, entirely before at least,
Yeah.
but
There
it's
might
close to
be
before.
something out there. Somebody may have something.
Well, you could probably show what it,
Well, we certainly have
Parts
aerial
of it.
photography
Yes.
of what it was, but and actually, actually, I was wrong. I do have some drone footage because we took some of the mill property last summer, and I'm pretty sure it has at least it's not
There you
much,
go.
but at least it's panning
Something
over it
to
quickly.
pan over.
Mhm.
So yeah, we do have.
Well,
some
at
more.
least even you can expand out into the areas so they can see what we've looked at,
Yeah.
what we're using.
We are fortunate in that our building permit technician is a commercial drone pilot,
Oh, there you go.
which is
There you go.
very nice.
It's very exciting, and I'm not a naysayer on this project at all. I
Is it?
think there's great potential if we lay the foundation correctly, and we're not there yet.
So one question that, because of looking at donations of things, do you have any sense yet how many loads of gravel we will need? That was asked of me today,
Yeah.
how many loads that we
Uh,
thought we would need.
That was brought up, and I don't know that we had a number. And I think Brock had come up with a number, and it was something extreme. I don't know if he was wrong. It was like, I want to say, maybe it was the amount that had been offered to donate. He said something like 55 loads had been offered.
A number of loads, I'm not for
But
sure of the
I don't
number.
know. I don't remember the exact amount, but I can get that information and get a better estimate.
Joe should be able to say if we do
6 inches
Sure.
deep.
8 inches deep
Sure.
or whatever.
We can pull that together.
That'd be good if you can get that to me.
Mhm.
Get it out.
You got a line on some possibilities?
Well,
Maybe.
we've been talking to people,
Okay. I'll get
and
that
there's
to you.
an individual that has several, but
That's
I know
exciting.
Will Tucker has some
That's-
connections also.
that's who I was talking to
Same.
today. Yeah.
Same one.
Great progress. Okay. So we have no old business to discuss beyond what we've been discussing. New business. Mr. Gorley.
Why don't you go ahead and I'll fill in.
Okay. So if you Google parent cafes, it's not a new concept, but there's been programs over the years to where that parents and students might come in on a designated night. A community partner would provide pizza. We might be able to get youth from a church with an adult supervision to be able to provide some childcare, so people of all economic backgrounds can attend these things. But there might be conversations on a system that's planned out that might talk about student mental health. They might talk about different issues that kids have and be led by a healthcare professional, a counselor, somebody, but that we can have this conversation about student trauma, mental health issues that they're facing, all of these things. I believe a partnership between the city starting that conversation, the school district, which I remember when I was a kid, they had similar things, but it was all like drug-based and things like that, right? But we have a lot of parents out there who don't even understand the curriculum their kids are getting in healthcare, in history, and all of these things. So we can cast a net and see what those interests are. But right now, mental health is a serious issue. And if we support a plan like this, then we can educate the parents about the needs of the kids.
So,
And
thinking about this, I'd been I thought that, because we can work with the school and work with the city and come up with a, kind of an idea of what we could do during the summer, it would be more outdoorsy type of thing. But also, as I heard that the new students are going to be doing these surveys, some of these items we might be able to talk about in a cafe. So we would want to do something to start off with, or if we're going to do it, that would bring people together to kick it off. So I don't know whether it's something that you guys wanted to do, but I thought I could approach it with the school district, see what they would feel about it. I'll talk with Jeff privately maybe and see what he thought about doing it and how it would benefit and Dick and
Our role would
just
be-
an idea.
our
If
role would
you guys
be
don't want to do that, it's fine. It's just an idea.
to kick off the idea, help bring the partners together so this moves forward, and then step back again and let it go. Because I think once the school district says, oh yeah, we haven't done that for a long time, let's do that, right? I think that would help. I believe there's money out there to help with pizza
Sure.
and things like this, something easy. I believe there's probably enough interest with youth groups throughout our community to help with the childcare piece, but it's just having that conversation and moving forward. And there's a lot of experience in this room to know that any kind of pitfalls, but if you Google parent cafes, there's a lot of information out there. And I think that Sweet Home could really benefit from something like this right now.
I was wanting our ex-superintendent to see, is that something you've done before, or is it something that you've seen done, or?
No, I have not.
Mhm.
And we have not done it before. Not Not while I was there anyway.
What do you
I was
think?
about 10 years
What do you
old.
think?
Oh, you were 10.
I was
should
about
say.
10 when I saw it.
What
But
do
I
you
know
think about
Baker's
doing
been doing it.
something?
I think it's a good idea. What I would like to see is these students from Western University kind of lead the charge in something like
That's
that,
kind of what I'm thinking.
you know, instead of us trying to lead the charge.
And if not them, the various clinics, particularly the ones that are coming in, once again, the doctor at the new clinic, what's your experience with people under 18? What do you think their major problems are? May not be mental health, it may be, SDIs or whatever. And just pull them into that.
If you go look
Area.
at those health posters out there that the kids did,
Yep.
one of their main things that they identified at the beginning of this school year, the high school students, was mental health, was
Right.
one of the areas that
Right.
they were hoping the mentors would address.
So,
So I think
thinking
it's
about
there.
that, if we were able to pull in the partners, which would be important to have a school district involved, because they have not only the mentors working there, but they also have the ability to get the information out to the students and
Parents. Well,
do it
the
that
parents.
way, the parents.
Yeah.
That's really important because the way we would get it out would not be as efficient as getting it out that way. So, and then we also have the other partners in the community that would be willing to do the pizzas or the other things like that, the
I bet right now the money's there with the school, but just having the conversation to start it and let somebody else run with it, it would be, maybe our purpose is just to say, hey, have you guys thought about doing
This
this?
is an issue that you may want to think about.
Yeah,
yeah.
this would
a lot of
benefit. And
information out there.
if
So
Western
I will bring it up.
with
I
the
will
school,
bring it up with the school.
I'll bring it up with Di Lacy tomorrow when I call her on the other one and
Okay.
just say, this is something our committee is looking at. What do you think?
So,
How
that
could
would
you
be
help?
perfect.
yeah, so we can do that, broach a subject, bring it back to the committee in June.
So how does one keep from stepping on the toes of, the folks, the teachers that are teaching health classes, et cetera?
It's an
And then
asset.
also, how do you keep from stepping on the toes of the parents?
The way we do that is by having this information out there that the kids have done this survey and this is what they would like to
Right.
have. And these are some of the issues that we're looking at doing, get more information out through the schools that this is something that works. The cafes work all around the country. They're using them
Right.
all around the country for this type of a venue, and they seem to be very successful. And they have like 5 or 6, 8 different partners in it, including the mental health and the teachers association
Right.
themselves, the classified association, all of them, and part of them is they're donating money for the pizzas and things like that.
I think that there is such a crisis within our classroom that people don't realize that things are very different and that children it's not good. It's really not good. Anything we can do to help parents and community members become more educated, the better. And I don't know that I don't think it would be offensive to anybody if you've got healthcare professionals or you've got, maybe they take monthly, they have different people that lead this. But we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just saying, hey, have you guys thought about doing this? And who's interested in helping make sure this is successful? And that's
Well,
all. And then
and
we should be
The
able to
only
step back.
the model I'm coming from is the anti-fluoride in water. And this town would have no fluoride in their water, given half a chance.
So
So
I think,
you've got this, excuse me,
Yes.
you have this dichotomy that goes on. I'm actually very much in favor. And
Yeah.
I actually have bumped into it before. And you tend to have folks who get very active, their kids get very active, teachers get very active, and then you exclude a whole bunch of folks who don't for a variety of reasons. but it's a step forward. And
So what I'm hearing on some of this stuff is that it may not be classified as mental health,
right,
but that's what it is. But it's put before people in a different way so that it can help.
I would
And-
broaden it even beyond that. I think you're talking about learning how at a young age how to negotiate, listen to people, get your point across, debate, all of those things that have kind of gotten lost in our system now. And you can feel comfortable doing it. And your mom and dad are watching it, and it's going to be okay.
And we can remove barriers. We can
Yeah.
remove the thing.
Yeah.
They don't have to come home and
Mhm.
cook dinner because their family's now going to be fed. They don't have to worry about childcare because the little ones are now covered.
No
And
small
we
point.
need those two things to happen to be able to hit all demographics. And so,
They were doing healthy eating stuff, right? At one point.
Look out there's a whole list of healthy
Yeah,
things
it-
that
I mean,
they,
it
they were
doesn't
doing,
end. It doesn't end.
you
But
know,
I
and-
don't think, Jim, we want to wait for the survey because I think that conversation is viable even without the survey. But that's,
Yeah, if
It's on the wall.
yeah.
we'll do
yeah,
the,
they did it.
yeah, we'll do the outreach and talk to them and see where we're at on stuff.
And the beauty
Go
of
from there.
this is we don't have to have city staff support. They are free from more commitments. So,
Maybe Sean.
You can always assign someone.
You can
Yeah.
assign Sean.
okay. So everybody's good with that?
I have my homework.
Okay. I think it's a go. Anything else? Okay. Hopefully it's a project that gets kicked out there and then it takes on a life of its own and goes with it, just like FAC's project. And
Well, let's just report back at our next meeting and find out what the school says. I know you two have stuff going on with mental health people all the time.
We do, even ourselves.
Do you want to ask your contacts what they think about?
yeah. So do we need to help you guys with anything for the health fair?
Tables, chairs,
The work crew?
muscles?
Well, with the health fair being there, we're not going to have the luxury of setting up all those tables like we do the night before and just have them sitting there ready. It's going to be a flip it. that
Be
morning.
at 7 a.m., 6
Yeah, but
a.m.
That will be the,
But the good thing is they won't have to be in a certain order.
oh no. This
Oh,
guy-
lined up?
This guy organizes it. There'll be an order.
Do you-
So a noon start or something like
do we
that?
dare have them set their own tables up and just have them sitting there? Or we're going to get people hurt doing that?
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll have it laid out. Like I said, we'll have it laid out, but probably more than anything, we'll just need people to help us get those tables up and the chairs.
That'll
in
be the,
place. Yeah.
that'll be the
And if we have
biggie.
pop-ups, then obviously, some strong arms pops things up.
At least 4.
And a deconstruction crew.
And a deconstruction. You could pull
Tear down crew.
construction and deconstruction.
Yeah.
But the closer we get, and especially understanding maybe the numbers that we may have will be key, whether we're gonna go back to 40 plus, or if we're gonna have 25 or 30, so that'll make a determination as well.
You already have applications coming in, I assume.
No, they're just now going out,
Okay.
but they're to be expected to be back by June 30th. So
Good.
It turns over fairly quick.
Have we finished discussion? Corley, anything else you want to add?
Nope, not a thing.
Dr. Horton?
I have my homework.
Blair? Oh, you've got lots of concerns, I'm sure. I'm sure there's something there.
Not about this.
Okay. Chief?
It's a blessing to be here.
We can tell by your face.
And it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm
That's
fine,
a-
thank you.
Um,
The only thing I have, again, I set in on the Samaritan clinic break ground in August, so looking forward to that. And I should have brought them tonight. I didn't have the last packet of the conceptual drawings of that, but again, the facility has increased in size and services. So the memorial walls going up, everything's looking great. So that's all I have.
I actually do have something I should throw out there. We're in the process of looking at options to provide a place for some of our homeless individuals to be able to spend the day at that is not conflicting with the livability of certain areas. And so what we've proposed at this point in time, when we're looking at how it will affect everything, is there's a grassy area over, it's north of the police department by Bi-Mart and McDonald's, about putting some picnic tables there, maybe some type of shelter, something that is more inviting and encouraging those individuals that are homeless to be able to spend the day there, where they have some amenities, not great amenities, but more amenities than just a parking lot. Sean has reached out to a number of them who were all encouraged, and I wouldn't say excited, but willing to go there and try that with some amenities that they don't necessarily have right now. So we'll probably be moving forward with that. And quite honestly, if it's out of the downtown corridor, and so if we're just being honest, that does play a factor in it when we're talking going into the summer season. And so
Have they been using the tables that are behind the theater?
I haven't seen them.
no, they have not. Yeah,
That's grass.
right. But
That is private property.
It
I
is.
think it'd be-
we haven't been encouraging anyone to kind of go there because it is private property. And so anyway, that's what we're hoping to accomplish. Good or bad, time will tell.
So the location by McDonald's or the location by the police station?
It's by the police department. It's in the parking lot there. So if the north of the police department, there's a grass
Behind it.
grass area. Yeah.
So a couple of picnic tables and like an overhead thing.
Yeah, where it's just an awning or something. Sean was a big fan of that, providing them some coverage from the elements, shade and whatnot. And so Public Works is looking into, so do they have picnic tables? Used to, but do we have those available, some aluminum ones or something that we could move in there? So we just started talking about it last week. There's a need for it, especially with some of the things that are going to be occurring in the downtown area. Is there somewhere that we can provide for them better and accomplish several goals? Yeah.
Do you have power outlets so they can plug in their cell phones?
Well, let's not get carried away. No, we
Well,
don't.
no, I'm thinking as a draw.
Yeah, and I get it,
Let's
and
go
we
over
don't
there
have it
and
out
plug in
there.
our phones, right?
Yeah, and we don't.
Nowhere in the parking lot where they are now to do that.
No, correct.
Okay.
Brock mentioned on that call that he had those 20 by 40 pop-ups.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if Sean has reached out to FAC associated with it.
If FAC is going to kind of be eventually overseeing this, a 20 by 40 is a pretty good size.
Then we will have everybody in the community stopping by the police station to go to the party. And kidding.
Just don't put up lights and things.
It's always a party at the police station.
I was going to say, you have to have a pretty good draw because I think some people kind of avoid that location, but it is a nice area and it could be
Make it more inviting, would you?
more parkish. And then then our community members will get used to it and they'll think it's a pocket park and you'll always have people there.
And to offer a bus up to Foster Lake. It's their
Stuff.
property.
That's
Well, you
Secure
could store
place
that
for-
back there in that fenced area.
You could put the white tent up there.
And store it. See what you open up.
Never easy answer, sir.
Well, that's really good news to hear that you're thinking about doing something to help that situation.
So.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Any objections? Any discussion? I don't think it's just debatable. Okay, motion to adjourn made. See, I didn't even ask. Oh, I didn't even ask if there was any yays or nays. Oh my gosh.